All right, I still don't have all of my voice, but we'll try this. It's been 2 weeks, and I've been sick. Yoichi and I both got sick at the same time on Mount Eba. Here we are before we got sick, in the happy time. Now, you remember we were there at the request of a French YouTube channel by Virgil Cadur. Here we are waiting for Virgil and his crew, and guess what? They never came. They were no-shows. They never came. They made some mistakes, some fatal mistakes in their planning, and weren't able to get there to meet us in time. So that was disappointing. I did meet up with Virgil the following week, and we were able to get him to see Mr. Eggy, our friend Mr. Eggy, ape clerk, emeritus, so that was good. But on this day, it was only Ryoichi and me. I had the walkie-talkies, and my plan, you remember, was that two of us would spot this anomaly here, and two of us would take their directions and make our way over to it. I thought I'd seen humanoid movement there. And I still think maybe I did. Now, some agreed with me, some didn't see it. My friend Carrick Saint Laurent, put together this sequence of photos. Thank you, Carrick. He didn't see it. He didn't see the movement, but he went to the trouble of making this for me all the same, very kindly. Thank you, Carrick. Well, there were only two of us now, and I didn't want us to split up, so we went together, just trying without spotters to climb to and find that anomaly, and I'm 90% sure we found it up there. And this is as close as we got, and this is where our trip came to its premature end, because it's here that we both got sick, physically sick, and we both lost all motivation to go any further. So we retreated from there. And even if we had the nerve to keep going, we couldn't because we were sick. Fortunately, and my life is dotted with acts of providence just like this, because days earlier, I'd been reading Latrines of the East, the illustrated Latrines of the East by Edward Morse. Providentially, I say, because my friend and I were in urgent need of latrines, and so that was quite a bonding experience for two fellas, and that's all I'll say about that. Another time, I will come back here, and I will try to climb up there. You know me, I'm no quitter. So, that was the end of our trip. We did not camp out that night, partly because we were sick, but even then we might have camped out. The French team wasn't coming. Well, but we were already there anyway, so we might have camped out. It was cold. It was very cold. It was below freezing. But, you know, we were prepared, so even so, we would have camped out. But we had extreme winds, and this was the deciding factor. The wind was so strong, we had no hope of keeping a fire going all night. We couldn't keep a small fire. It would just blow out. and we couldn't collect enough wood to fuel a large fire all night. It would be burning extremely fast because of the crazy fast wind. Well, I wasn't going to stay up there without a fire, so we called it off, and we went home. But before this, early in the day, we had some Hebegon success at, well, near the Fortress of Hebitude, if you remember that. We found sort of an extension of that area. And we had really great success at the Tateiboshi Cone Summit, where we are right here. And that's coming up. Oh, I guess someone out there wants a little taste of Latrines of the East, so here's a relevant excerpt. Professor Morse has been traveling around the Orient, going through all the latrines and cataloging them, and finally he comes to Japan, and he's even going to come to our own beloved Hiroshima Prefecture. So we'll pick him up here. He says, Japan forms a most striking contrast to China and Korea in these matters. Not only does every house have its privy, but there are public latrines as well. In every house, except among the poorest classes, one finds in the immediate vicinity of a privy a receptacle for water and a towel, which is always used for hand washing. In the country, one often sees in the neighborhood of the poorer class of houses a covered place closed by a low door. A clever drawing of Hokusai shows that it is not beneath the dignity of a lord to avail himself of this humble convenience. Receptacles in the form of large jars or buckets are found near the rice fields. The scrupulous care shown in the preservation of this important fertilizer is in striking contrast to the way in which we wastefully discharge it, thus polluting air and water. Frederick Charles Krepp, in his exhaustive treatise entitled The Sewage Question, shows the calamities which have overtaken communities and nations who have permitted this material to go to waste. Lowell and Lawrence with their typhoid fever, and Chicago with its overwhelming problem before it, show how far we are yet from dealing properly with this great and perplexing question. The Japanese, while utilizing this material, nevertheless contaminate their water supply, for the irrigating material soon finds its way to the rivers, and though the danger of drinking water seems less in Japan than in China, experience has taught the Japanese to drink the water boiled or in the form of tea. The floor of the privy has simply a rectangular opening, as shown in figures 5 and 6, which have been taken from my book on Japanese homes. The receptacle below consists of a large earthen jar, or the half of an oil barrel. This is sunk in the ground and emptied every few days by means of a long-handled bucket from the outside. The men who are engaged in this work have their regular routes and pay for the privilege. It seems incredible that a large city like Tokyo, with its 1 million of inhabitants, has this service performed in the most thorough manner. Indeed, so valuable is this substance that in Hiroshima, I was informed, in the renting of the poorer houses, if 3 persons occupied a room together, The value of this product paid for the rent of one. And if 5 occupied the room, no rent was charged. The result of the transference of this material into the country leaves the shores of a city absolutely pure. No malarious flats nor noisome odors arising from littoral areas curse the inhabitants, as with us. And here endeth this extract from Latrines of the East.